Hey guys, Future Stephanie coming at you here. Just filmed this makeup tutorial on this eye look. I had no intentions going in on what I was going to do. All I knew is that I wanted to do something fall related, maybe a red lip because I'm wearing this red Stranger Things top today, as well as I have these Stranger Things posters in my room. So yeah, kind of in like the spooky season, getting out the pumpkin spice candles. So if you want to see how I created this fall makeup look, then just keep on watching. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is dip into my Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade in the shade Soft Brown, and I'm also going to use this eyebrow brush and we're going to start carving out the eyebrows. So first I'm going to start with the bottom and just make a light line. Make sure you can see there. Unfortunately I have to use this mirror because I wear glasses and I cannot see into the camera. So you can see that. Just starting to carve it out, fill it in, and then if it looks a little bit harsh, I have these spoolies here, and I'm just going to take that and just brush through the brows. Okay, I finished my eyebrows off of camera and I just carved them out, as well as put a base on my eyelids with this Rimmel Stay Matte Concealer in the shade Porcelain. So after I do that, I'm going to start my eyeshadow, and I'm going to use this Anastasia Soft Glam palette, and I just thought these were some really nice fall colors, so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to start with this blender brush. It doesn't have a name on it, just came in a pack, so we'll start by just blending and building up the colors in the crease. So I'm going to start with this shade right here. It's called Orange Soda, so I'm going to pack that on my brush and I'm just blending that into the crease. So I'm just going to use the mirror on this palette again, and we'll start with that. So this actually is not like a really bright color. It is pretty pigmented, but it's just to start blending the colors into the crease rather than starting with a really dark color. So I'm just using like a windshield wiper motions and just sweeping that in, and then I'm going to pick up some more color on my brush and I'm going to do the other side. I'm not too sure what I'm going to go for with this makeup. I'm just going to wing it and go with the flow, and we'll see how it turns out. I'm really going for that fall makeup look, but I also think I might want to do a red lip, so I might want to make that the statement and keep the eyes very plain. I'm not too sure yet, but I could also do a nude lip if the eyes tend to go a bit crazy. I don't have anything in mind, so we'll see how it goes. So next I'm going to dip into the shade Burnt Orange right here. So first we used Orange Soda, and now I'm using Burnt Orange, which is a little bit of a deeper color. And I'm going to take that, and then again I'm going to blend that into the crease, kind of focusing it a little bit lower than the Orange Soda color that we used. Okay, so I'm just taking this brush here and I'm just blending the two colors together and kind of picking up a little bit of each color on the brush and just blending that together, just so we have a seamless blend. Okay, and then next I'm going to take the same brush here again, and I'm going to dip into the Sienna shade in the palette, which is this one right here, so it's right beside it. And I'm just going to pick a little bit up of this because this one's really pigmented and it's a bit of a darker shade, so we're going to put that one just a bit below, so kind of a little bit over top of that burnt orange color we used, but we're not going to go up as high as the orange soda one, just so that way it blends and it has a nice gradient. So I'm going to take that color and blend that in. So once that's blended, I'm going to dip into another shade in the palette, and it's this mulberry shade, which is actually pretty deep. It's right beside the black, so I'm gonna go even lighter handed with that one. I'm just tapping my brush into this, and then we're going to sweep that onto the eyelid. It's really pigmented. Colors like this, you want to be like really careful when you're applying them, because if you have too much on the brush, it's kind of hard to go back once you've applied it. And it's a really deep shade. So I'm just applying that all over the eyelid. Okay. I'm mostly focusing it out on the outer corner of the lid as well, because we're going to do a little bit of a cut crease. So we don't really need so much on the inner corner because we're just going to be covering it up anyways. So focusing that on the outer corner, blending that in, and we're not worrying too much about covering the whole area, because once we cut it, then we can kind of blend things together and fix it up a bit. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other eye, and I'll be right back. Okay, so once I'm happy with the smokiness of that, I'm going to take that same color that we used in the beginning, that orange soda color, and I'm just going to dip another brush into it, and I'm going to blend the two colors together so that way it's nice and seamless and we don't have any harsh lines. Okay, so to cut the crease, I'm going to be using this flat brush, and it's actually a Wet n Wild brush, and I'm also going to be using this NYX Full Coverage Concealer pot in Alabaster. So I'm going to take some of that on the brush, and I'm actually just using this one instead of the one that I used in the beginning, the Rimmel London one, just because it's a little bit thicker and it's a bit easier to work with, especially since we want to have a very defined line for our crease. So let's start this. I'm gonna start on the inner corner, kind of like to use a patting motion, and at the beginning it's gonna look a little bit weird, but you know, and then we're just going to define the line. So trying not to drag it too much, just do a little bit of a drag and then stop, just because naturally your eye is going to wrinkle and you want to get a nice seamless line. It's actually really good to look down when doing this, because it helps you get the line rather than your eye being folded like this. You can see. And it also gives you a guideline to where like your brow, like your, what am I trying to say? It gives you a good line to where your crease bone is, and then you can just go along that line. And yes, since there's color underneath, your concealer isn't gonna start going that color rather than staying the white color. That you just want to let it dry a little bit, and then you're going to add a bit more on top. So don't be too worried. Plus you could also set it with a light like brow bone color. Sometimes I like to draw it just a little bit over the crease, so that way when you have your eyes open, you can see that line. So I kind of do that, and I'm going about like 3/4 of the way. Then I take my finger and I just dab the ends of that concealer just to blend it in. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye, and I'll be right back. Okay, so once I've got both my creases cut, I'm going to take a mixture of this Tempera shade in our Soft Glam palette, as well as this NYX pigment in shade number 3. It's just like a silver glitter. I'm just gonna go like this and just tap a bit into the lid. And I'm also gonna be using this Morphe brush that came in a set, so it doesn't have a number on it. So I'm going to take a dip into that and pat that on, and then dip also into that glitter. Wow. I've used this glitter quite a few times on some like nights out, and honestly, I'm amazed every time I use it. It's so sparkly. You don't have to apply any glitter glue. It's just like a shimmery pigment. And I'm just applying that all over the lid. So I'm just gonna switch to my other mirror. Wow, okay. So again, I'm going to dip a little bit of that. This Tempera shade actually has a little bit of shimmer to it, so that's helping a lot with just helping keep the concealer dry and not getting the glitter to move around. So just doing a mixture of that. I'm mostly patting it on and then kind of sweeping it towards the line that we've created, just so that way it gets all the way in and makes that nice like cut, if you know what I mean. So I'm gonna pack that on as much as possible. I'm gonna go do the other eye off camera, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to blend the two together. Okay, so I finished that glitter, and honestly I'm really loving it right now, but we need to do something about this situation and blend the glitter and the color that we used on the outer V together. So I'm going to dip into that Sienna shade in the palette that we used, as well as a bit of the Mulberry shade, just to blend the two together. So I'm first going to start with the Sienna color and just blend that. And also just a note that this is going to remove a little bit of the glitter because you're blending at it, but you can go back in and just touch it up a bit. I'm just tapping off the excess because you don't want too much. And you kind of want to just like go back and forth between this color and the glitter to kind of mesh them together. Like so. And then I'm also going to take that glitter again with the same brush that I was using before, the Packer brush, and grab some of that glitter and apply that where the two meet. Like so. Now, I feel like this look needs some winged eyeliner, so I'm actually going to do that off of camera because I feel more comfortable doing that. Plus, I'm not going to be able to talk during it because I'm going to be really focused. So I'm going to go back off camera, apply some winged liner, and then I'll come back and we will start with the face. Okay, so to start off with my skin, I'm going to be using this Maybelline Matte and Poreless Fit Me foundation, and I actually have it in 2 shades. I'm going to be using 115 Ivory as well as 110 Porcelain, and the 115 I'm going to be using basically all over my face, and then the 110 I'm going to use for highlight, just because I find that the concealer that I'm using right now is kind of acting a bit different with my foundation, so I'm just going to use 2 different foundations, one for brightening and one for my full face. So yeah, let's get started. So I actually have this little heart-shaped e.l.f. palette, and it's got a little Velcro, so you can put that on your hand like that. Just for less mess, I'm going to take that foundation and pour a little bit out onto this palette. Okay, maybe a little bit more than a little bit. Just scoop a bit of that back in, and I'm also going to take my Real Techniques Beauty Blender, dip into that, and we're going to apply that to the face. So, just going to dab that into my skin. I usually like to start with this area since my face is really red on my cheeks and on my nose. Making sure to cover all of my blemishes. So I'll finish my whole face and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now that that first layer of foundation is on, I'm going to take that lighter foundation on my Beauty Blender and I'm going to apply that the same as I would concealer. I'm just dotting that on under my eyes and blending. This is for brightening, as well as I'm using this to cover the redness I have right here. Honestly, don't apply a lot of this. I don't want it to look like super white in certain areas because I understand that this is not my foundation shade. This is just acting as concealer, and so I put that on the high points in my face, so that's my nose and my chin, as well as in the middle of my forehead, between my eyebrows. Now that that is finished, before anything creases, I'm going to tip into my Coty Airspun Loose Face Powder in Translucent. I'm going to remove the powder puff that's in there, so I actually don't use that. I'm going to tap a bit into the lid. It's actually a bit much, but whatever we don't use we can just put back. And I'm also going to take this Real Techniques Multitask brush, and I'm going to dip into that and just tap off the excess and apply that to my face. I like to set right underneath my eyes and my nose right away, because that's where I tend to get a lot of foundation rubbing off, so we want to set that right away. As well as I have pretty oily skin, so setting those areas like under my eyes, my chin, and my forehead is the best thing to do, so that way I don't have oily skin. Okay, so next I'm going to take that same brush and dip into this NYC Smooth Skin Bronzing Face Powder in the shade Sunny, and I'm actually like almost out of it. Like there's just the tiniest bit left, but I actually can't find this anywhere near me, so I'm actually really sad about it, so I'm gonna have to find a new bronzer to use. But yeah, I'm going to just use this to bring a bit of color back into my face. Next, I'm going to contour my face using this duo here. I'm going to dip into the darker shade and just like the slightest bit, because because honestly it goes a long ways. It's really pigmented, and I also like to just tip off the excess there because this is going to be really harsh if so. And then I'm going to contour. So honestly, the thing I like to do is go in with like a really light hand at first, because you can always add more, but then you can't remove it, so unless you want to redo your face. So once I'm happy with how that looks, I can do a little bit more touching up on the forehead, and whatever's left on the brush, I'm just going to use that to contour the sides of my nose. This is honestly, I'm not looking to like make my nose any smaller or anything like that. I'm just trying to balance out the color. So if I'm putting a lot of color on the outside of my face, I want to have something in the middle as well, so I'm not like super pale in the center of my face. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I'm pinching the brush and just going down the edges of my nose, and also bringing that up like right to your eyebrow, so that way you don't have like two really harsh lines right here. And then I'll just brush a little bit on the edge of my nose. So yeah, after we do that, then I'm going to apply some blush. Okay, so for blush today, I'm going to be using this like peachy coral blush. It's in the shade Rose. I actually can't say what brand this is because the cap fell off. I used it so much and from like traveling and stuff. So yeah, any peachy coral blush will work, whatever you have. I know this isn't like a name brand one. It wasn't expensive. I think it was like $6 or something like that. And I'm using that same brush. I'm gonna have a little bit of that on the brush, kind of tap it off a bit. And then I don't like to apply it right here on my cheeks because, as you've seen before I did my foundation, I have really red cheeks right here. So I try to focus it more like just on top of my contour, a little bit further back. So I'll show you that. So kind of start it right there rather than up here, and then work it back. And I don't apply a lot of it, just enough so you have a bit of a rosy cheek. I actually never used to apply blush at all because I was so worried that, mostly because I wear the foundation, is to cover up that redness. And I felt like if I was putting the blush on, I was bringing the redness back. So I never used to wear blush, but I actually think it kind of balances out your face a bit better because, you know, when you put foundation on, you look pretty flat, and the contour and the blush kind of brings it together. So if you're ever really scared of using blush, just think of it that way. Okay, so for highlight, I'm going to be using this one here, which the lid fell off this one as well. This one is actually e.l.f. I think it was like $3, and it's honestly one of the best highlighters I've ever used. It's in the shade Moonlight Pearls, and I actually have another one already still in the package ready to go because I loved this one so much. So I'm just going to take this brush. It's not a name brand one, but it's actually a really pretty one. It's got this like glitter flecks in the handle, so I'm going to dip that into here. And honestly, this highlight is like pretty bright on its own, but if you use like a Fix Plus or a setting spray on it, it is really intense. So I'm going to apply that to my cheekbones and a little bit up this way, so you can see. Honestly, for like everyday wear, I mean, it's up to you however you want to do it, but this is like intense enough for me. This might be too intense for some people. But yeah, I would say this is a really like, it's a champagne-y, but it's more on the like whiter side of highlight. So sometimes it can look really pale on the skin. So sometimes I mix it with actually the palette that I'm using for the mirror. This is the Revlon Photo Ready Insta Sculpt palette, but it also has these two highlight shades, this like champagne-y kind of gold one here, and then also like a peachy one. So sometimes I'll just like mix those two and apply that on top. But really, like, that e.l.f. one is kind of my base because it's really shimmery. And then I also take that and put a bit on the tip of my nose and up the bridge, and then as well right here on the tops of my eyebrows, on my forehead. And then I'll also take a mix of those two and apply that with that as well. Maybe just a bit on my nose, and then a little tiny bit on my Cupid's bow. So yeah, I might also take a small pencil brush. See if I have one right here. This one here, this one's by Morphe actually. It came in another brush set, and I'll dip into that same shade, the e.l.f. one, and I'll just put that on the inner corner of my eyes for a pop of highlight. If you really wanted to make this popping again, like in the inner corner, you could apply some Fix Plus on top of it, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. And I'm also going to take that same brush and dip into that NYX pigment again, the one we used when we cut our crease, and just apply a little bit more of that in the inner corner. Just to give that a bit of a pop. Okay, now I'm going to do my lips, as well as I need to apply some lower lash mascara. Okay, so I just went off camera and applied my lower lash mascara, and now I'm going to go in with my lips. So normally if I was wearing this like every day, I probably wouldn't apply a lipstick. I would just leave it like this. This is more of like a daytime wear, but I'm also going to apply this Stay Matte Liquid Lip Color by Rimmel London in the shade Firestarter. Okay, so I just wanted to point out, I noticed that you could see my broken ass blinds in the backdrop. It's actually because my cat loves sleeping in that window, and I have a new blind, I just haven't gotten to replace it yet. I just didn't realize it was in the background. So yeah, it looks a little bit ratchet, I know. But yeah, besides that, I think the makeup turned out really nice. I feel like a red lip just makes your lips look like so much bigger. Yeah, I'm super happy with how this turned out. Let me know if you recreate this look.